What's going on, everyone? Thomas Jordan here for another episode. Today, we are joined by the lead singer of Trapt, Chris Taylor Brown. What's going on, man?
Yeah, having a good time.
Yeah, awesome, dude. It's actually funny. The last time I saw you was at the Masquerade in Atlanta, Georgia in 2003, which to my math is about 19 years ago. I had to do some research, and you guys were touring with, I think, Smile Empty Soul and 3 Days Grace.
Yeah, took them both out. I took out 3 Days Grace for the first tour. I think both of their first main big tours are national tours in the U.S.
Yeah, no, it's great, dude. And funny, I've actually found the ticket stub. I dug it out 2003. Crazy, man. But for those people who don't know who you are, how did you get started in the industry?
Started playing guitar when I was like 11 or 12. And only a few people really got really into it. And I met the people who got into it, and I've known our bass player Pete since third grade, and then when we started the band, where we got signed, it was just three of us, and then Simon left, in 2008. But it's me and Pete since then. We've had some different guitar and drummer and stuff since then, but it started with some local musicians, so that's basically that, and started making music and recording it. And one of the demos ended up in the label's hands, and they started calling us, and we were like 19 and saying that they wanted to sign us. And so we just met with a bunch of them and ended up signing with Warner Brothers, and the rest is history.
And what was that like, signing at 19 years old? I can only imagine, because at 19, God knows what I was doing. But you guys were, like I said, you met, your friend in third grade, and you guys were just coming up, and all of a sudden, this label is, chasing after you. How did that feel at such a young age?
Right. Like you put your heart into something, and it works out. It's always a great feeling. We're all excited to make a record and then tour.
Yeah. And you recently talked about TikTok. You were with Warner Brothers for a little bit, and then you kind of separated from them. Why did you end up doing that?
Well, major labels wanted 360 deals, and we weren't into that. And we ended up going with a label that gave us a 50-50 digital deal, and we still have that deal, and it pays real well. And the first two albums are just huge, so the deals we have with that still we do pretty well in royalties, and it allows us to have our own label and be an independent band and not have to worry about anyone's support or whatever.
Yeah, and I've heard this from numerous people about this 360 deal. I believe American Idol does them. I think The Voice does them. And it's for those people who don't, whether they're artists or just people who are watching, don't know what a 360 deal is. How would you describe it?
Just get a piece of everything you do.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everything.
Is there a certain percentage? Is it like an 80-20 deal? Because I'm not a musician, but I know you basically get.
It's whatever. I don't know if there's a standard.
Mm-hmm.
I know that most bands out there, especially new bands, they get paid like somebody working like a manager at Taco Bell or something,
Yeah.
So they're just grinding it out, and it's like you just have. It's like tennis, the only top 20 people in the world make it, make anything out of it. And music is every year. It's like not many new artists get added to the 1,000 that do get enough streams where they're making $1 million in a year. It's like I thought that was crazy. There's only 1,000 bands, artists that have a revenue over $1 million. It's their streams, and that's just that's all of it. So that's like the band. I don't know, whatever they get of that. So far as musicians or just the band itself making $1 million a year, it's probably like,
Yeah.
in the hundreds, maybe.
That's crazy. And how do you get, I feel like those deals are are a trap. Like, how do you get out of those? Like, is it just kind of like the contract expires, or can you guys just be like, I'm out of here?
I don't know. We never signed that. So.
Oh, okay. Well, that's awesome then.
We never did. We had the first 2 albums, and we that deal. We still had that same deal, but with a new company that bought those masters from Warner Brothers, and we did 2 more records for another label, and that was independent. It was 50-50, and then we've just been doing our own thing since then. Yeah.
Yeah. And since you're doing your own thing now, do you own all your own masters now?
Yeah.
And
since 2011.
Yeah, and how does that feel? Because I know a lot of artists, like I said, whether they're with bigger labels, whether Warner Brothers, Sony, they don't own anything. Like I don't think
it matters. I mean, it's like if you're a band and you do a good deal with a label, and they have a good team, and they blow you up, and it's making lots of money, and they get a piece of everything, as long as the band, it's fair to the band. It's just like how much of that are they getting,
Mm-hmm. And with with the industry being so kind of cutthroat, how do you trust different people, like different companies, different band members? Is that kind of hard to do?
Trapt, we get no special privileges, no mentions of, you're in the new music section in iTunes, or like put in the release radar for people who listen to our music. Like, they just keep our newer stuff from the older music fans.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, they don't want those people stumbling upon new music that'll cost them more money, that they have to pay out in royalties. Like, that's what we're up against. But that's why you gotta try different. We have to find different ways to reach people, and that's just the way it is, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And what different ways have you been trying to reach that new crowd?
Using my platform to kind of make things clear for people, and just as far as what I see that in ways they're being manipulated, and that there's a reality out there that I'd like more people to see, and I think people are getting it over the last couple of years. I've definitely been doing that and staying true to the music, that lyrics and the who I am, and I think that it's definitely been great for the band, as far as like getting new people, or maybe old people who had the CDs back in the day or something, and then now they're streaming it or something. I don't know if it's a new or people who knew our old music, and then now they're stumbling upon it again. I think of maybe a mixture of both. But it's been great. I just feel like there's a lot of fakeness, inauthenticity, in the music industry and in the world. And as far as content, what people see, that somebody being real and just being consistent with it and truthful. I think the artists got us out of Vietnam. I always looked up to that kind of situation. It's like, pull this out of something stupid, and it's like, for the last 20 years we've been gung-ho and like kicking ass and Team America, and I don't know how much longer we want to do that kind of thing, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting as far as people, like different avenues on how people are following you and things like that. Cause like I've followed you for, the band for years. And then I saw you on TikTok, and I was like, I've seen a lot of independent artists go through TikTok, and I know you're super active on there. People seeing like your new stuff and still, raving about your old stuff. How does that make you feel?
Great. I mean, 10 months ago, we got on the TikTok and started connecting with some real big fans, that used our music in their TikToks. And I think it was the coolest thing we could have done, And it was like Facebook in 2013. Like that just revitalized things for Trapt, and so this 10 months ago, same kind of deal with TikTok. And I couldn't be more grateful for that. It's awesome that we have enough fans and that they are cool with my need to express myself, not just musically, but honestly, just as a person, as an individual in this world with everyone else, that has the same opinion, or as far as like a right to an opinion as anyone else. So it's cool that people have my back on that for the most part.
Do you feel like, I know, and because we're kind of in sensitive times right now, do you because I know there's going to be some fans who've got your back, and have you dealt with the opposite end as well, where people just don't agree with what you say and then they're just kind of like deuces?
I mean, there's most of the music industry toes the line of whatever the media narrative is. They don't express themselves. I mean, either they're in 100% agreement and they're agreeable to what mainstream media says, and they're screaming at the top of their lungs and getting tons of views and going viral for it, or they're just keeping their mouths shut,
Yeah.
And that's not good for our country, I don't think.
Yeah, it's scary times, man. And that's the thing about the industry. Like, I was in news, I was part of media for 10 years. The last 5 were spent in LA on the red carpet covering entertainment and things like that. But it's like when you're in a certain industry, you hear things, you see things, and it's like, especially with the music industry, whether it's like the record deals or whatever, you hear about all these like shady stories. And I think Tekashi 6ix9ine came out a while back and was saying how like the Billboard charts and just everything is basically rigged, and that anything can be tilted at any scale favor depending on what's going on in the back end.
I don't care about awards or like the charts. I think if you can express yourself the way you want to. I think that's way more important than, what chart position you end up getting with what you express yourself with. So I think as an artist, you just express yourself and you do it in the way that makes you feel the best. And that's what guides me, not, chart or fame or money or any of that.
Now, has it always been sorry, go ahead.
It's great if it comes. It's great when people are into what you're doing on a commercial level too, and that keeps you doing what you're doing, obviously. But it's got to satisfy the artist and what's in your heart, in my opinion, first.
Yeah. Yeah. And is it, like I said, with it being kind of what it is now, did it take you a while to kind of, like, I feel like, start to like come into your own voice and start to like voice your opinions? Because I know some people are, like you said, either scared to voice the opinion or
it's slowly, but slowly. I mean, I started doing it in 2014 with the Michael Brown and like the whole, it was a cold-blooded, and then there was a struggle and all that stuff. There's always a struggle, and it's like the media always blows something up into something that it wasn't. And then we always find out what the truth is in the days and weeks later, and that's what happens all the time. So it was so annoying just to see the media just use whatever crisis to just herd people like cattle, and people do whatever they say because they're scared of the situation or whatever. And I just had to put my hat in the ring and be like, nah, they're trying to manipulate you, and just show how, and be like, they're saying one thing and I'm telling you they're going to say something else soon, and then they do.
Yep. And that's what's tough, because when I was in it, so the reason I got into it was to get on the entertainment side. I had no aspirations to be a news anchor or whatever, but it's like I saw how it was. And even before 2016, before everything shifted, like it was about the truth. And then Like if somebody had told me the media was biased, I was like, absolutely not. I'm in it. Like they were so strict on us to cover both sides. I remember covering stories and they were like, if you don't cover this other side, we're going to get sued. And
when was that? What
this
year
was like in 2011, 2012.
So once 2012 hit, then they said, oh, we can lie.
2016 is when I heard, or when I saw a massive shit. It was actually leading up to 2016. And like I said, man, we were covering, I mean, I was in Colorado when the shooting happened in Colorado at the mall, the Aurora shooting. And then when I was in Oregon, there was another one at a mall, and everybody covered it like you normally would. Cause it's like, we're there to cover, the truth and see what happened. But what a lot of people don't realize is like the news goes on without you. So when breaking news happens, you have a very limited time to get all your facts straight before it goes on. But the show goes on with or without you. And it was more factual. Like you talk to this expert, you talk to this witness, you talk to this person, like you had to do your actual work. But then everything changed. Everything just completely went opinion and like who's first. You could say anything. It almost became like the wild, wild west.
Well, you heard of the Smithbund Modernization Act of 2012?
No, I have not.
I mean, it just basically says that the propaganda tools that we use overseas to manipulate the foreign populations in the countries we're doing whatever we're doing it in, we can use those same techniques against American people. And then, I mean, basically another way of saying the State Department and then the board of governors that do the radio, that decide what can't be said or whatever, they come up with whatever they're coming up with, and it doesn't matter if it's true or false. So prior to that, they could maybe get sued for it, and now they can't. So that's the number one issue. And just every politician is a complete coward, and it's unbelievable.
And that. Go ahead.
But the people who know are just cowards, and they know.
Yeah, man, and it's tough because like even like I always like put like my reporter hat on, and I'm like, where I lost it is when I really lost it is when I found out when the whole Epstein thing happened. And that the media had covered it for at least 3 years. I wanted to like throw up because I was like, what? Why? Like, I mean, there's so many you could speculate on that, but it's just like that's not even like the tip of the iceberg. And like
this weirdness is all this. It's like there's a certain regime in power right now, and they're all both sides, Democrats, Republicans. That's an illusion. And they're just a group of people in control and the power. And it's like, what was I going to say? So, it's a group of people in power, and they control the law, the system, so it's like, if they lose control of that, then they can all go to jail. It's like if one of them goes to jail, then it's like they'll rat on everyone else. It's like they can't put anybody away. Because if one person, then it's like a domino, and it's like, and Americans are like, dude, this is just insane. The people in power, they could just do whatever they want, and it's like they are afraid of losing that power because then they will it's like they'll get in trouble for what they know they've done, so it's like they have to stay in power or they're in trouble. So that's why it just becomes increasingly weird, and as they keep trying to stay in power, because they're just afraid of what happens to them when a whole new set of leaders get in there.
Yeah, I'm gonna
let it happen.
Yeah, I'm gonna butcher this, but I heard somebody say that like if you had a pile of red ants and a pile of black ants, and you put them in a jar, nothing would happen. They would coexist. They would make friends, whatever. But if you close the lid and you shake the jar, they'll kill each other.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah. So what we need to be paying attention to is who's shaking the jar. Kind of to follow up what you said, it's like, and this is the thing, like you can't, I don't, with right and left, especially corporate media, I just, like I said, I stopped trusting that a long time ago. But I think what would need to happen is a bunch of independent journalists. And this is what's tough because journalists, to be honest, don't get paid that much unless you're like a talking head.
But the artists, musicians, the same motives to buy and to, I'd rather have the money and the notoriety and the fame and all that than to be real and to look themselves in the mirror and say, hey, at least you tried to tell people like, hey, you're being manipulated, and here's why and here's how. So, and then that's what their job is.
Yeah.
They don't do it.
Yeah. And that's what I want to try. Cause like I said, I want to try and get people to turn the other way. Right. So, or like turn around. So it's like, okay, becoming a journalist is really the easiest thing ever. All you have to do is start digging. Like you're basically investigating. So instead of like arguing with each other online, literally find like these, if everybody on both sides just literally went after politicians and people who are in corporate media and started digging, the stuff that would come out would be insane. But I say it to
many people that know so much stuff.
I know. Yet
the amount of people who don't know and are ignorant to it, like, is 20 times that. And it's daunting, like, as far as, there's a lot of people who are like, oh, we can see the reality for what it is. And then there's just people who just don't even think that our government could ever be anything but, good and have our best interests, and it's like.
Yeah. If there's anything that I've learned is that, like, I mean, just be even before I was media trained is like to always ask questions and question everything on both sides. And that's kind of like, even this conversation, I could see people being like, oh, they're just like these right-wing guys. But honestly, like, I'm tired of like arguing with people. And it's like, I'm trying to figure out a solution and like almost trying to like tell people to just quit. If you don't believe which side, just find a topic that they're talking about and literally just start digging. And
there are people that are just married to a narrative, and it doesn't matter what you show them. They are committed to that narrative to the end. And that's what we're dealing with here. And it's like, you like you said, there's no point.
Yeah. Sometimes it's tough because it's just like I said, we, even as a reporter, like I see stuff all the time and it's just like, I'm always questioning. And even if I'm wrong about some stuff, like, but to like truly dig in and really start, like I said, I think things would, because right now we're in like it's like a tribal mentality, like, almost if it was sports, it would be like Auburn versus Alabama, right? Like everybody's going to root for their team. Like but it's like, people really just need to dig on both sides. And I truly believe if we went after politicians first and started digging into why certain people's base salary is $100,000, but they're making $25 million. It's like, wait a minute, what? And then like, even like that old saying of, oh, you're as crooked as a politician. And it's like, okay, we've known this for years.
We're allowed to happen.
I know.
Take responsibility for what we allow to take the power. Because I don't want that job. It's way too much. I'd rather, have fun, be an artist, and it just sucks that the people who are supposed to be taking care of things are what looks like deliberately trying to make the country worse. Ever idealistic, fair, make the world a fairer place by bringing America down. And it's just like, why are we allowing this?
Yeah. And that's, like I said, and that's kind of what people are like, well, we need you on our side and like, you need to go do a deep dive. I'm like, man, first of all, like, this isn't sides. Like, we just need to like figure out what is actually going on. A, and then B, it's like, first of all, the only reason I got into news is to get into entertainment so I could like talk to people like yourself or people on the red carpet. Like that was my dream. Right. So it was like, that's what I want to do. I'll question people all day, but news is the most, but like politics aside, news is seriously like the most depressing thing ever. Like if anyone ever watches it, it is like clockwork. It's weather, depressing crap through the whole stuff. And at the very end, they have what's called a kicker to like leave you floating by. But like what people don't realize, and it was like caught, I think there's a company called Project Veritas who like caught CNN
how many times? How many mainstream media over and over?
Yeah, on camera, telling them their plans with Trump, telling them like we're basically fear mongering.
That's great. That guy's the single best journalist that's ever been out there. Like no one even comes close to how many stories that guy's busted up and broken, and they must absolutely hate him, James O'Keefe.
Yeah,
like, what a hero! Like what an awesome dude. You know?
Yeah, and what's scary about that is you heard the FBI raided all of his hard drives before he could like put them out, and then he had to go on camera and say that I'm not gonna off myself and like whatever just to like protect himself. It's scary
that institutions become something where Americans are like, well, yeah, CIA and FBI, and it's like, you know, like definitely doesn't feel like it's agencies that protect Americans. It's just protects politicians, and that sucks.
Yeah, and I always ask, have you ever heard of a politician going to jail?
That's the point. That's what I said. That the people in charge, the regime in charge, they do the rules for us, and you know, are different than for you. You know, and that's what they do, and it's like it's why they're just afraid of a real election, and they're going to keep it as muddy as they can keep it for as many years as we'll allow them to. And it's like, you know, 40% of the country doesn't believe in the election, and you know, the other 60%, half of those people don't even care. It's like, yeah, well, people got to standing up for.
Yeah, well, it's tough because even like I was telling some of my other friends who about, you know, showing them the video of like James O'Keefe and all his work and stuff. It's like, well, why is he only picking on the left? And I'm like, no, this isn't about left or right, man. Like, I was like, this is about,
that's the wrong way to look at it.
I was like, dude, this is what's scary is because we've been like twisted to think right and left. And it's like, okay, well, what if, and then he's like, well, what if there was somebody like that doing that on the right? I'd be like, listen, I'm all about the truth. Like is like, if somebody on the right was doing something, we have to hold them accountable as well. But that's the whole thing, is to stop fighting with each other and turn it around on them and start getting the truth. But the problem is there's just so much information out there. And if there was like 10 James O'Keefes, it's tough because it's like, even if you go down that rabbit hole, like there's the fear of getting, you know, like if you dig too deep, there's a chance something could happen. It's awful.
Well, these days, the stuff that the mainstream media lies about is just right in your face. So obvious that there's so many people see at the same time where they can kill us all. It's just, you know, it's the internet's definitely helped spread what needs to be spread. You know, the truth that just proof of things that our media says was one way, but we find out, well, that's not true. That's just keeps happening time and time again. So I don't know how anyone can. It's the boy who cried wolf at this point. I don't believe anything they say.
Yeah, it's tough.
Oh, it's probably the opposite. I mean, they did that. The boy who cried wolf, dude. They cried wolf way too many times, and I just don't trust them at all. And they're gonna go, oh, you're a traitor for that. It's like, no, dude, get some new channels. Some new people.
It'll be interesting.
Those people. Sorry, I have every right that way.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening over the course of the future, because they're like, that their ratings have gone down and people are looking for more independent source, like independent media outlets, and people are doing great jobs. I mean, people on TikTok, there's like a whole algorithm of people busting people for doing stuff. So it's basically like investigating. So it's like, but you need to have, the thing is like, it's facts. You need to verify stuff before you start, like, because people are just so quick and there's just so much information. And then people are like, well, what about the fact checkers? It's like, well, the fact checkers see fact checkers. It's like, who?
We gotta try to debunk what you think you just learned and be like, well, let's try and see the other position. And once you're like, okay, no, I mean, I don't think this one can be debunked, then you can talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah. But some people don't know, like there's two sides of the internet. Like if you Google something, you'll find certain stuff. But if you go on like DuckDuckGo, you find some other stuff, and like just some stuff that is just buried. There's just too, and this is what I think what they're trying to do is they're just putting out so much information, like you can't keep up. And it's just like in your face every day, just something, bat in that hornet's nest.
Yeah.
That's tough. Besides, like, I don't know if it were up to you, what, like, have you thought about any type of like solution that we could, like, you know, where there isn't this divide anymore, where we can kind of come together?
I would just say America first, you know, just make what we need here. So I think we're starting to do that. We're definitely pulling away from, you know, I don't know. It just seems, who knows? It seems like we're going to be having to make a lot more stuff here and be more self-sufficient. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So I think that America will benefit from that more than anything more than globalization. Yeah. So what globalists wanted, you know, it's kind of crumbling. So as you know, Russia, China, India are kind of doing their thing, and US and the EU doing their thing. So got to be self-sufficient these days, I guess.
Yeah, man. And also, I know, like, even speaking out about all this stuff, trying to, you know, I know you speak your truths online, and of course you get your, you know, you get some haters to go along with that. How do you deal with it?
You know, I just try to show what somebody who's not using any facts and just calling names and making fun of people or whatever they can do to discredit what's actually being said.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so anyone doing that, I just point that out if I can. And so if I can do that, then it shows people what they shouldn't pay much attention to. So that's how I deal with trolls. Yeah. Just kind of make an example out of, well, here is a perfect example of that brainwashed moron that I'm talking about.
And would you ever try a different approach where it's not like you, like, I don't know, because some people I know are going to be like, well, that's not nice. And it's like, okay, well then how else would you try to get it across, you know?
Just, I can only do it the way that, you know, as me, just as my personality is, you know, I just definitely, it's annoying when people don't do any research and, you know, just coming out with the insults. So, you know, just try to cleverly hit them back, you know. And I'm a big fan of standing up for yourself. That's what's annoying to me about the right and conservatives in general. They just allow the left to just walk all over them. And that's partly why I've really gotten involved with, you know, saying my piece, because of how Trump supporters were being treated. So like nobody had their back. And so I was just like, somebody's got to, you know, say something to these assholes who won't, you know, stop badgering these poor Trump supporters that are just good people, you know?
Yeah. And I know, like, getting trolled and like hate comments and stuff are like just because the internet is what it is now. When you were first starting and coming up with, like, you know, in the Facebook days, the MySpace days, whatever, before streaming was a thing, were you receiving any type of criticism like this back then?
No. Why would we? We're just the only reason that we're getting any hates because of my views.
Yeah.
They not the same as every mainstream freaking artist. It has the same views as mainstream news.
Are there a lot of artists like yourself that have the same views that don't speak up? Or is everybody?
No, they don't speak up. So
Yeah.
I know there's people who have my views, and I can't speak for people that are too cowardly to, say what they think.
Yeah. Dude, I appreciate it so much, man. Last question. If you could say one thing to the world and that be like your message right now, what would it be?
Just try to find out what it is about life you love the most and put your effort into that, and definitely don't put it into things that make you pissed off or unhappy. Like
TikTok.
I think I have no problem being confrontational. So
yeah, no, that's cool, man. Well, where can we find you online?
Just Trapt Official on TikTok, and it's pretty much where I dwell these days, and trapt.com.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you. So are you guys touring, or do you want to promote any new music you've got coming out?
We had the first leg of our self-titled tour. The second leg starts June 7th, and goes till middle of July or first week in July, and then we're putting together a tour with Adelita's Way for the fall. So that's going to be a fun tour. So yeah, that's going to be lots of great shows this year.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Right on. Thanks for having me.